Ever get those ads? You know, the ones
Yeah.
that try to sell you on an immersive experience
Yeah.
for something totally mundane, like your electricity provider?
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of laughable, right? Like, who wants to experience their electricity?
Right.
We just want the lights to turn on, right? Without a second thought.
Exactly.
And that's kind of what we're diving into today. This whole idea of experience and how it might be going a little off the rails. At least
Nice.
that's what Mike Boysen seems to think.
Okay.
We're taking a deep dive into his article. It's called A Simple Way to Think of Experience Through a Jobs to Be Done Lens.
Mm.
And it's really about why the best experience with some products is actually no experience at all.
Interesting.
It's funny how we get so hung up on these buzzwords, right? Like experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's everywhere these days.
Yeah, it's true.
But isn't it true that sometimes you just want things to work? Like
Yeah.
seamlessly, in the background.
Totally.
The only time you really remember having an experience with certain products or services
Yeah.
is when it's a bad one,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Especially with those things we consider utilities.
Absolutely. You just want them to work.
Exactly.
100% of the time.
And Boysen, he actually uses this great analogy in the article. He says, I go to Disney World for experiences, but I don't go to Disney World to experience the food service.
Right.
Like, you're focused on the rides,
Right.
The main attraction.
Of course.
Yeah. You're not sitting there analyzing, like, the efficiency of the snack line.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's where this whole jobs to be done framework comes in, right? So instead of thinking about buying a product, you think about hiring that product to do a job for you. Right. Like, you don't want a power drill, you want a hole in the wall.
Right.
So instead of buying a washing machine, I'm essentially hiring it to deal with my, like, mountain of laundry every week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you apply that to utilities, like, it gets even more interesting
Right.
because you're essentially hiring those services for one job, right?
Yeah.
Keep the lights on,
Keep the water running.
the house at the right temperature.
Yep.
We don't need the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
We don't need the immersive experience.
Mhm.
We just need it to work
Exactly. We need it to be invisible, really.
invisibly and reliably.
100%.
It really makes you think, though, right? Like, why are we so obsessed with, like, bells and whistles for everything? Even those essential services, the things you just want to, like, fade into the background.
Exactly.
Like, we're, like, afraid of simplicity or something.
Okay.
Like, we have to add layers of
A
complexity.
little bit weird, right?
It is weird.
Like, we almost don't trust it if it's too simple.
Right.
But that's kind of the beauty of this jobs to be done thing, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, what if instead of these elaborate experiences, these companies just focused on being really, really good at that one job?
Right.
Like becoming the platform that solves all the problems around that core thing we've hired them for.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Become a platform.
And Boysen gives a really, I think, tangible example of this.
Okay.
He says, imagine if, like, your electricity provider, instead of just providing the power, right? What if they also offered, like, a subscription service for smart light bulbs?
Oh, interesting.
Right. So you get the convenience of automated lighting.
Yeah.
The energy efficiency is kind of baked in.
Right.
They handle all the replacements, so you don't have to, like, dig through your junk drawer to find the right bulb.
It's funny because it's like such a, like, when you say it out loud, it's such a simple example,
Right.
but it totally changes the game.
Totally.
Because it's not just, you're not just buying electricity, you're buying a better lit, more efficient home.
Right. It's peace of mind. It's
And are you going to switch providers if they're doing all that for you? Probably not.
probably not. No.
Because it's a relationship now.
Right. It's value too. Real tangible value.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just about that one transaction anymore.
Exactly.
This is what I think is so compelling. It's not about selling more. It's about solving more.
100%.
And that's such a subtle shift, but it changes the entire game.
Right. Because now you're anticipating needs, not just reacting to them.
Exactly.
You're solving a problem before the customer even knows they have it.
And this framework, it's not even just for, like, these traditional utilities, right?
Right.
Didn't Boysen, he makes a connection to, like, Rolls-Royce.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember how they, like, changed their whole business model
Totally. It's fascinating.
by going from just selling jet engines
Right.
to, what was it, they called it, power by the hour,
Yeah.
where they essentially bundled the maintenance and service into the deal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So smart.
So airlines, they don't have to deal with the headache of engine upkeep. Rolls-Royce handles it all for a fee.
Genius. Right.
Total peace of mind.
It's funny because when you think about it, it's like, why didn't everyone do this sooner?
Right.
You know?
So I'm seeing this, like, common thread here.
Right.
It's about Finding those less obvious needs.
Yes.
The things that your product is enabling behind the scenes, and then building the platform that solves those as well.
Yes, exactly. You got it.
So it's not even selling a product anymore, it's selling a solution.
100%. Yeah.
And that is a powerful proposition.
Yeah.
Whether we're talking about jet engines or software or even something like, your electricity.
It all goes back to that job, right?
Yeah.
Understanding it on a deeper level.
It's amazing how far we've come, right?
I know, right?
We started talking about immersive experiences for like your utility company.
Uh-huh. Right.
And now we're talking about smart light bulb subscriptions and like peace of mind for jet engines.
It's wild. It's like this whole new way of looking at things.
It really makes you think differently about like all the stuff we use every day, right?
Totally. And that's what I love about a good framework,
Yeah.
It's like it gives you a new pair of glasses to see the same problems, and suddenly you notice all these things you never did before.
100%.
Yeah.
And what I like about this jobs to be done thing
Mm-hmm.
is that it even works for like the products we don't normally get excited about,
Right. Exactly. The boring stuff.
Exactly.
Which is a good point that Boysen makes in the article, right?
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in the bells and whistles, but even something that seems kind of boring can be innovative if you look at it through this lens.
Totally.
It's about thinking beyond just like the obvious function and understanding like the bigger picture, How does it fit into people's lives? What need is it really fulfilling?
So give me an example, like what's something our listeners could relate to, something they use all the time but probably don't overthink,
Okay. How about something like a coffee maker?
Okay.
Like on the surface, its job is simple, right? Make coffee.
Right.
But when you really think about it, it's probably doing a lot more than that.
Okay.
Like maybe it's helping someone create a little ritual for themselves,
Right.
That first cup in the morning.
Oh, yeah. It's a whole thing.
Exactly. Or maybe it's about connecting with other people,
Right.
having friends over, like coffee and conversation.
It's more than just the caffeine, right?
Exactly.
It's like a social thing.
Exactly. And that's where the opportunity comes in, right?
Good.
Instead of just selling a coffee maker, they could create this whole ecosystem around those deeper needs.
Interesting.
Like, imagine a service that delivers fresh beans, but also recommends playlists to set the mood, or even like conversation starters for those coffee dates.
Ooh.
Right. That's an experience.
It is. And it all comes back to, like you said, understanding the job on a deeper level.
Yes, 100%.
It's not about the product itself. It's about the solution.
It's about making life better.
Right.
In a real tangible way.
And this could even be a way to like tackle some of the bigger issues we're facing, right?
Totally.
Like, what if we use this jobs to be done thinking to design more sustainable solutions?
What's that?
What if companies bundle their eco-friendly products with services that like reward you for making good choices?
Right.
Or like built carbon offsets into the package?
That's amazing.
Now that's an experience I can get behind. It's not just a gimmick. It's about real impact.
Totally. Aligning like business with positive change. So cool.
Well, on that note, I think we should probably wrap things up here.
Time flies.
I know, right? But for our listeners who want to go even deeper on this, definitely check out the full article by Mike Boysen. It's called A Simple Way to Think of Experience Through a Jobs to be Done Lens. It's packed with even more insights and examples that might surprise you. But more importantly, we hope this deep dive has given you, our listeners, a new perspective, a new way of looking at the world around you. So, start looking for those hidden jobs in your own life, in the products you use, even in the problems you're trying to solve. You might be amazed at what you discover.